The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, good morning and welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm CJ and we have a small problem this morning as Chip had to go to a meeting and he texted me a few moments ago saying that it was going to be difficult for him to get here on time. And I was like, okay, we don't got a problem there. And then I spoke with our other potential co-host who also, because it was kind of last minute, is not available. So right now I'm here. So I'm going to talk about a few issues that have come up before the city and why this is getting to be so difficult. You know, we constantly see how the city does not pay attention to what the people want. And that becomes a problem in and of its own right, because without proper representation, we have a problem. Now, I hate watching social media because, as I've said a numerous time before, you know, you have people sitting behind keyboards who have everything to spew, yet they don't say anything in public. And that creates a problem because the people don't know whether to believe it or not. You go back to the fake news syndrome. So, you know, that creates an issue for people where they're not sure what to do, they're not sure where this is going to happen, how this is going to work out, and then we don't know what to believe. Now, the city council meeting this week, a lot of people started saying, oh, look, they're obstructionists, they're doing it again, they can't change their votes, they can't do this, they can't do that. Well, you know what? When you don't know your own parliamentary rules, you have a problem. And the majority of our city council has no clue. They have no clue on the fact that when you make a motion to table, that's it. It's a motion to table. Everything else stops. It's a priority motion. There are certain things you don't discuss after particular motions, but you do it anyways because every one of you city councilors want to make sure you get your face on the camera to say something. Sometimes silence is a virtue. You don't need to make a comment that 9 other people are going to make. Be an original. And you see this every time when they get recognized, you know, counselor at seat 2. I want to totally agree with what my colleague at seat 9 said, seat 8 said, and, you know, he's absolutely right, and this is how we should do it, and I firmly believe. You know what? If you agree, let it be stated in your vote. You don't need to make a comment regarding it because you just have the opportunity to make a comment. You cannot do that. You know, you have to really focus on what is the issue at hand. And you don't. And you really need to put the position at hand. Because if you don't make sure that that position at hand is voted for accordingly, instead of flapping your gums, do something. And this is the big problem we have. Because everyone in the city council needs to be seen, everyone in the city council needs to be heard, everyone in the city council needs to have their 2 cents in, and it's just a repeat of what the other 7 city councilors have said. You don't need to keep repeating yourself. And you don't need to keep saying what the other councilor said, who the other councilor said. People sit around that chamber and they wait 11:45 to hear 7, 8 people say the same crap over and over and over again, just so you can hear yourself talk. And then you have people who are screaming, ranting, and raving, going, oh, well, you can't do that. You can't do that. Oh, you know, we need to make sure that he, you know, he's represented properly. And what are we supposed to do? And, you know, I don't want to hear you whining. I don't want to hear you complaining. I don't want to hear any of that. Because guess what? It's not going to fly for me. It's just not going to fly for me. And unless you do this, it's not going to work. And you know, people don't understand it. So it gets to be a little crazy. It really does. And, you know, maybe someday people in Fall River will understand that this will happen for them. But for some reason, they just can't do it. And my guest co-host finally showed up, and he couldn't get the message from me while I'm moving my hand to change his seat, and he was driving me crazy. So now I'm going to, and that's why I had to go to a blank screen there, and it drove me nuts. But hey, what can you do?
Good morning.
Good morning, Patrick. Oh, God, this is nutty. Oh,
Ladies and gentlemen and children of all ages and politicians of Fall River, Spindle City Straight Talk is on the air.
Yes, it is. And, you know, this is the problem. The reason why you had to change seats is if our regular co-host does show up.
I got you. He's got to have his chair.
Right. And I'm not sure what mic you're on, actually.
I'm on 12.
You are on 12. Okay.
I can go to 10 if you'd like.
That might be a good idea, just in case he does come in.
Okay.
But this, you know, this is a major problem. You know, everyone's got to have their 5 seconds of fame on television, and it just doesn't work that way.
And you know, the city council meeting Tuesday night was definitely interesting, especially when nobody understands the open meeting law. And Joe Macy comes down and said, "You got to ratify what you did 2 weeks ago to get rid of the open meeting law complaint. But if you vote yes to ratify or no to ratify, you still got a legal vote." And then.
You know,
that's why they need to come March 7th.
Yeah, you know, you really want to just reach out and slap them upside the head sometimes. But, you know, hopefully on March 7th that will resolve the issue. The other big problem I had was that, you know, because they voted down the mayor's $2,000 transfer, okay, all of a sudden the masses go nuts. You know, for them, this administration can't do any wrong. This administration consistently lies, absolute 100% lies to the people. And Chip is at a meeting as we speak, and he was hoping to be here because he's finally out of the house for the first time. In regards to, again, what the city's trying to do illegally. And, you know, I had a conversation with you earlier this morning in regards to some of this, because I have to really question, you know, where's the representation? I mean, where is the legal representation? Joe Macy consistently violates the law, okay? And you and I both know, open meeting law complaints, you have 14 days.
Yeah, and he says he's got 10 feet of open meeting law complaints on his desk.
Right.
Because he has to answer 10 a week. Well, the problem is he hasn't figured out, and hopefully we can get him to understand on March 7th that the public body has to address the open meeting law complaint before he has any jurisdiction to answer it.
Exactly. I mean, I've gotten responses 2 days later, and I didn't push the 23B violation, okay? And then I've gotten them 35 days later. And, well, we're just too busy to be doing this.
And then he gets mad. He says, "Why do I have to answer in 15 business days when they take 6 months to a year to make a determination?" And I said to Joe personally, I said, "Joe, you were a judge. Don't tell me you made decisions the same day."
Exactly. You know, it just gets to be real nutty. My biggest problem is, and we've said this numerous times to the city council, previous city councils have said this, they need their own council.
Absolutely, especially after what I saw the other night.
Especially after what happened on Tuesday night, they need their own council. And a statement that was made, and I don't remember if it was from this corporate council or the previous, was that even if you got your own council, they still work for me. So I'm the one that has to make the decision.
That sounds like a Liz Souza statement.
It does, but
that doesn't sound like a Joe Macy statement.
But I'm not sure if it was. So I'm not going to say that it was. I'm not sure which corporate council it was. But I remember the statement clearly. And here's the thing. The city council needs its own representation because, let's get real, Joe Macy said it very clearly. Okay? My position is not to file lawsuits on your behalf. My position is to defend the city against lawsuits.
Right.
Okay? But the Bar of Overseers, when Liz was corporate counsel, said to us as taxpayers, you don't have jurisdiction, you don't have standing because she don't work for you, she works for
The city council.
The city.
Yeah.
And then when the city council filed the complaint, they told the city council, no, you don't have standing because she works for the mayor. Well, if and this is the Bar of Overseers, if the Bar of Overseers position is that the corporate council of the city works for the mayor, then the city council needs its own council. And then you'll see the battling of the attorneys. Okay, because I'm telling you now, the appearance, and I'm not saying this is factual, I'm not saying this is what's actually happening, but the appearance of impropriety is just as devastating or demeaning to the people as an actual impropriety. It does not appear to the people, to me, that this corporate council is working in the best interest of the city of Fall River, but is intent serving the purpose of the mayor, which is not the best interest in some cases for the city of Fall River.
And as you know, I have a lot of respect for Attorney Sam Sutter, former Mayor Sutter. But I think the worst mistake he made, I agree with getting rid of Liz Souza, but Christy Diorio was a tack. She was a sharp as a tack. When she handled open meeting law complaints, she sent a package to them explaining to them exactly what the problem was. Here's how you fix it. Now you guys respond. Not me, you guys. You're the public body. You respond, and they all signed it. And I got a package from like the Park Commission, and I got a package from, different public bodies. And now you get the standard template letter from Joe Macy with 7 cases. And, the other night he said to the city council, we have a citizen's complaint that you violated the open meeting law. He said, I don't think you did. Your president thinks you did. He said, but my position is, you guys vote or whatever you want, and I'll defend the open meeting law complaint just like I do with the other 10 to 15 a week I have to defend. But, I mean, they don't even discuss it. Make a motion to refer to corporate counsel. Second, all in favor, gone.
And then they don't realize that.
And that's not the purpose of the open meeting law. The purpose of the open meeting law is when you get a complaint, the chairman is supposed to disseminate it to the members, and they're supposed to discuss any remedial action to be taken.
Exactly.
They don't.
But again,
but March 8th they will.
But again, this city council doesn't do that.
No.
This city council, and this was my complaint with them. We have a letter, communication from C.J. Ferry. Received and placed on file, second, all in favor, aye, boom. They didn't read it, they didn't understand it, nothing. There was no discussion about it.
Nope.
We received an open meeting law complaint from Patrick Higgins. Received and moved to send it to corporate counsel, sent to corporate secretary, all in favor, aye, boom, done. They don't discuss it. They have no idea what the complaint is. None.
But I will tell you on the one from February 7th, President Kadim did a great job and said,
no, he did. No question about it.
He called me, we discussed it and said the remedial action will be a revote. And the interesting thing about Joe Macy's diatribe the other day was he said to the councilors, that was my wording to reconciliation. He said, I told Allison to put that on the agenda.
Right.
The open meeting law says the chairman of the public body is the one who sets the agenda, not the corporation council.
That's right.
So technically, that's another violation of the open meeting law, and we will resolve it on March 7th during the training, I guarantee.
Well, the funny thing is this, okay? You and I both get vilified for open meeting law complaints, but we're not the only ones filing them.
We're not.
I know that the Herald News has filed a few as well, and I know that other media outlets have done it, and so has several private citizens. And a lot of them that I have filed, and even though I know, and there's only been one so far that I knew was going to fail miserably.
That was the Applebee's.
That was the Applebee's one. And you and I both knew it was going to fail miserably.
Yeah, we did.
But a member of the community felt it needed to be addressed. And I said, well, here's how you file it. I don't want to put my name on it. I'm afraid I will get in trouble.
Yeah, we get that a lot, too.
Exactly.
We have, I have associates all over the Commonwealth. Webster Board of Selectmen just got a $2,000 fine, and they're in the paper saying, we followed everything KP Law told us to do. Well, the problem with having open meeting law trainings by your legal attorneys who get paid billable hours to defend open meeting law complaints is they get paid billable hours.
Exactly.
If you come down to Fall River, you go to Holyoke, you go to the trainings, you get to interact and network with the assistant attorney generals who make the determinations. And, you come down and they get to know you, and an open meeting law complaint comes in, they'll call you and say, hey, what happened here? And then they'll call me or one of my associates throughout the Commonwealth and say, hey, what happened here? And they go, look, we've resolved this.
Right.
You know, but you know, I talked to Jack Healy, the town administrator in Freetown, 2 weeks ago, and I said, "Are you coming to Fall River?" He said, "Well, you know, we got trained with KP Law," and I said, "Jack, think about this for a second. The people who write the determinations is coming to Fall River. It's 15 minutes from Freetown. You get to network and get to know the people who write the determinations and decide whether or not you're going to get fined again. Freetown's already been fined $1,000. I said, or you know, you can stay with your KP Law training, and who gets billable hours every time I file an open meeting law complaint." He said, "You made your point. I'll be in Fall River."
And the funny thing is that, you know, in the complaint that I assisted in filing, they got hit with a $1,000 fine.
I know they did.
Yeah, and you know what? You don't want to listen, that's fine, don't listen. But, you know.
And they're starting to fine more often.
And they are. And
because what's happening is they're telling you once, and then they get another open meeting law complaint. And in 2012-42, we told you couldn't do that. Now you're doing it again, so they hit you. And then in 2016, you didn't pay attention again, and that's why Webster's paying $2,000.
Right, and you know, here's the great part about it. You know, when you look at the park commission, park board, park commission, whatever you want to call them, the CPA board.
Great people.
You know,
great people.
But they're doing something that Joe Macy doesn't like.
No, they're resolving the open meeting law complaints.
Before they go anywhere.
Like the open meeting law says to do.
Exactly. The open meeting law says to resolve the issue prior to getting it to a formal complaint.
Because, as you know, CJ, you and I have been told by the Assistant Attorneys General, if you can resolve it and educate them and get them to do the right thing, that's the whole thing. You know?
Exactly. Exactly.
We don't need 7 months backlog to do a report saying they're in violation. If you can show them that they're wrong, and we can get them to understand what their requirements are, everybody wins, and the transparency is there.
Boy, you really want something special, don't you?
And I understand that the mayor no longer prays to God. Now he uses my name in the morning.
Well, you know, this is why.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. I am getting the reports. I appreciate you discussing me every day. So thank you.
This is why we have this problem. And, you know, now we're going to have a lot of different agendas coming up next week in regards to ordinance about removing city employees from
public
commissions
bodies
and boards.
Yep.
And I think that's the best thing in the world to do, because then you have them serving two masters, which then creates a problem of an ethical dilemma. You know, if the mayor wants this, are you going to vote for it, like we're going through right now with the licensing board in regards to a license issued to a, you know, the landlord of the mayor's political ally, the mayor's fundraiser, contributor.
Speaking of the licensing board, did you happen to attend or see that meeting?
I did see that a couple of licenses were renewed after being revoked.
Yeah, and Black's Law Dictionary says revocation means cease to exist. It is no longer there, and yet John Salino, Attorney John Salino, who's the chairman, and the other two members, Teresa Apposito, and I can't remember the other guy's name, Eric something, they voted to renew 2 licenses that they revoked at the January 18th meeting.
Right.
And I'm like, how do you renew something that doesn't exist? And you know what that also tells me? That the 42 Class 2 licenses that were revoked at January 18th, nobody notified the registrar.
Probably.
And I'm asking for a copy of the minutes today.
Yep.
Because I'm going to take that agenda and I'm going to take those minutes, I'm going to send it to the registrar and say, I don't know if anybody told you, but here's the official minutes where they revoked these 42 Class 2 licenses, and they should not have dealer's plates since they don't have a license.
Yeah, well, you know, and that's where people think you're a pain in the, you know,
tuchus.
The tuchus. You're a pit. But it's just amazing because, you know, I filed several complaints with DEP and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. And please, people, I'm very sorry about the echoing. I think the studio speaker may be a little too loud.
Is mic 12 still on?
No, it's off.
Okay.
So the echoing's from my side, not yours. So what's really happening here is I filed a complaint in regards to the King Philip Mill. I filed a complaint in regards to the Harbor Mall. And everyone's going, oh no, don't destroy the Harbor Mall. You know, a lot of people forget that the Harbor Mall was a dump.
Yes.
It was actually a hazardous waste dump.
And you know, I'll bet you the Fall River Economic Destruction Department did not notify or share that information with the mall
Probably
purchases.
not. Probably not. But I've asked for a copy of the borings, and I haven't seen those yet. And I went to the EPA, and actually that letter of complaint was shown
On Channel 10.
on WJAR, Channel 10, Sinclair Broadcasting. And the biggest problem that we have with that is that, if the federal government is not going to do its job, if they're not going to do what they need to do and respond to the complaints posed to them, this creates another major problem. And that problem gets to become very excessive. DEP, every complaint I filed, the gentleman that was handling all of Fall River is no longer handling Fall River. I don't know if he's accused himself or what he's done, but it gets to be extremely irritating. And
You may want to turn up your mic a little bit.
I just turned the gain up a little bit, and our tech guy just walked in.
The other interesting tidbit of the day is Sean Spicer's comments yesterday regarding recreational marijuana.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up in a little bit, but Massachusetts is now scrambling because while the president feels that medical marijuana is valuable and is necessary, I shouldn't say is necessary, but that proper precautions are being taken, it seems that the administration through Sean Spicer feels that.
And I believe that's from Jeff Sessions, too.
It probably is from Jeff Sessions.
Because Jeff's a law and order guy. I've met Jeff and when he was in Alabama, when I was down in Alabama, and straight shooter.
Yeah.
All the way.
Well, the thing is that now you've got them all getting antsy because
it's still a federal crime.
Right, it's still a federal crime. And if the federal government wants to, and it looks like they might,
What a way to close the deficit.
What a way to close the deficit, exactly, because what happens is not only do they shut them down, but they seize their assets.
Yes, and all the money from the illegal sales of the illegal products is seizable to the federal government.
Right.
And what a way to close the deficit, because I'm sure Colorado has a ton of cash.
Right, and I'm quite sure that, because here in Massachusetts, in case people didn't know, they don't pay taxes. That was Jazel's big claim to fame. They want 40% off the top. Well, guess what, Mr. Mayor? If the president's going to start enforcement, you're not going to get 40% off of anything.
And the thing that worries me is...
remember, they're not paying taxes, Mr. Mayor. So if they're not showing a profit, if they're not showing any net revenue, if they're not showing any gross revenue, you're going to get gross zero on properties that are valuable. So remember that, because the federal government still classifies it as a federal crime. So whether you're pro or con on marijuana, the law of the land is the law of the land.
And the other thing is we have attorneys in the area like former Mayor Flanagan, who's making a ton of money, but he's advocating people to illegally use to violate federal law, and he's putting his law license on the line.
Well, that's
whether he admits it or not, all these attorneys who are doing these, non-compete and citing marijuana stores in their towns and cities and stuff. I mean, they're members of the bar of the federal district court, as well as Massachusetts and/or Rhode Island.
Exactly.
And they're putting their law license on the line, whether they realize it or not. Hopefully, they understand what their consequences are, because I have learned through the system that you need to weigh all your consequences before you make a decision, because the food at the Bristol County House of Correction is not that good. That's why I eat at McDonald's once a week, to remind me not to get in trouble. Happy with the local food.
That's it.
I mean, it's free, but
I'm gonna digress here a little bit now from local politics and taxes, but I will give the city council kudos on reversing that vote. I think it was wonderful. I did reach out to Kathy Ann Viveris, the mayor, and Fosfiore, because there was a rumor, an allegation that the mayor was advised to spend the money anyhow. And I always confirm them, and Kathy Ann sent me a one-line email that said, denied.
Yeah.
Okay, we did that. And so, again, people think we don't follow up, we're just trying to stir it. We're not. We follow up everything, and we go with more than one source. But, again, to digress, You have coming up this week a waterfront hearing about what the plan for the waterfront is. I suggest every viewer, every citizen go and let your voice be heard. Also, you know, I never talk about local businesses or even national businesses, but I'm going to tell you a little story about something here. Staples in Fall River has a hell of a time of doing business right now because they look like they're in the middle of Fallujah. Let's be real. Okay, you got explosive potholes all over the place and construction going on. So I feel bad for the business in that respect. But when you turn around and tell a customer your money isn't wanted here, you have a serious problem. So here's the quick story because we don't have a lot of time. But customer goes in, buys 2 computers, about $600 and change in sales. First they said they had no computers, which I thought was funny when I heard this. Then they turn around and another salesperson says, oh, I have 2 of those, and goes and gets these 2 computers. Brings them out, rings them up, and they get paid for with a credit card and a personal check. The manager comes running over, screaming that, no, those were sold already. And they were like, really? And she goes, I'll just void the credit card transaction and I'll refund the check. And she actually refunded the check with cash that hadn't cleared the bank yet. Now, that in and of itself, this is Fall River, people. People are scumbags, okay?
If it were me, I would have stopped payment on that check 5 seconds after I had that cash.
And somebody could have done that, you know?
$35 to get $300 back. I'll pay the $35. Okay,
yeah, you know,
10%, no problem.
And here's the kicker, you know, they turned around and they said that, oh, we don't have them, they've been sold, we're shipping them to New York or whatever the case may be. Well then, yesterday, the corporate office called because they received a complaint about this. And guess what? They have those 2 computers for sale again.
And then the manager got involved and said, oh no, we can't sell them.
We can't sell them. So now there's a huge, so always remember, once you pay for your purchases at Staples in Fall River, take them and run because you may not get out the door with them.
You know, the other thing is I went to a restaurant yesterday, grand opening day.
Ooh, you must be talking about the We Are Born Again Christians closed on Sunday.
Yes, Chick-A-fila and Seekonk.
There you go.
And as you know, I teach ServSafe, which is a food safety management class that's required of all businesses. And I get to the restaurant about 8:30 last night, and both of the outside doors are pegged open. So let's just let the insects fly in and out and, you know, go from one burger to, one chicken piece to another and just cross-contaminate all the food, and nobody cares. Normally, when I opened up a Burger King in my 35 years with Burger King system, you set the standards opening day. You give the customers great service, and they did have great service. They had 40 people working. The place was clean. They were even delivering the food to the tables, but you don't care about food safety your first day? I'm sure that the Seekonk Board of Health will be educating them. The other problem with that is when you have the doors popped open like that, that HVAC system is centralized and balanced. And you know, we just had that death in Smithfield from CO2 because the guy drilled a hole to put his thing in and was pulling the exhaust out of the hood, and the CO2 rate was like 700 parts per million, and the mother died. You know, you got the whole heating system out of balance, and you got insects in, so I'm sure the fire inspectors and the Board of Health will be having a chat with the owner-operator of the new restaurant. So.
Well, you know,
but the food was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
And enjoy the 60-degree temperatures for the next 2 days, because guess what? We're going back to 40, I believe, on Sunday. Hey, I'm sorry Chip wasn't here, but I'll guarantee you Monday he'll be here if I have to drag him here. It's always good to be with you. Remember, stay angry and stay on top of what's going on in your city. It's your city. You elected these
Remember, the Constitution says, we the people.
Have a great weekend. Thanks for watching.